The Cupra Formentor has had a bit of a nip and tuck, a facelift on the front, and I'm actually really surprised the amount of people that have constantly requested, can I have a look at this car on the channel, the newest version. Understandable as well, because it's Cupra's best-selling car. They shifted over 100,000 units of this thing in 2023, but now it's looking a little bit different on the nose. So now it's got the same front as the new all-electric lineup, such as the Tavascan, so the shark nose and the headlights have changed. The boot of the Formentor is actually very generous unless you go for the hybrid. So 450 litres, which is bigger than a Golf, bigger than a Leon, or 345 if you go for this plug-in hybrid version because of battery space. Now, one bonus is there's loads of space for rear passengers. Now, this isn't the full-fat 2-litre Golf R engine with the now 329 brake horsepower output, so the exhausts aren't actually of use, but they still look all right. And this light bar goes right across, fully lit up, unlike other brands from VW Group. So Cupra have kind of obviously got the accountant's arms and just twisted them to get all the style and the looks into this car. In the front, not a huge amount has changed, but you could definitely argue there was no need for anything to change because it looks great. Now, this screen is a little bit better. Haven't seen any bug issues at all. Illuminates at night time, so it's a bit easier to see. The Sennheiser upgrade speakers are now in the door cards, and the steering wheel, well, look, that was perfect. These aren't the full-on bucket seats that you may have seen in the Born VZ I recently had it on the channel, but they are still the upgraded seats. So the interior still knocks it out of the park, as far as I'm concerned. Some things to note though, there's about €10,000 worth of extras on this car. The alloy wheels, the colour, the €1,200 Skyline pack, which is a fancy way of talking about a panoramic glass roof. The Sennheiser sound system I mentioned, that's a €704 upgrade. There's an intelligent drive system which has lots of extra bits compared to the usual standard stuff. So if you try and open the door, it'll warn you that there's someone coming up on your inside, whether that's a pedestrian or a cyclist, whatever. But that whole package is what, you know, as great and all as it is €2,000. Worth noting, it adds in a fancier sat-nav, traffic jam assist, where it'll keep moving with the car. You don't really have to do much with the accelerator and maybe stop-start traffic on a motorway, but still, it's a lot of coin. And the Matrix LED lights and the DCC comes to just over €1,100. So this is an expensive little car. When you start it up, it always starts in electric mode. There's a preserved battery level, so you can mean that it won't eat into that if you want to save it for a low emission zone. Or if you want to drive it in hybrid mode, you've got the best of everything. So you've got the 268 brake horsepower on tap from a 113 brake horsepower motor. The battery size is now just under 20 kilowatt hours, and it'll do a range of about 118 kilometers. So it has that new battery size upgrade and range upgrade that you will have seen on some of the newer Volkswagen products over the last sort of 12 months or so. And the 50 kilowatt DC charger, there's a bit of terms and conditions apply with that. So I plugged it into a 50 kilowatt charger today. It will, like all batteries, depend on battery temperature. And I could see it doing maybe 27 kilowatt, not 50. So I do wonder on how much of a good day does it have to be to get that sort of speed. Now it'll do 11 AC, which is really, like, it's nice to have the option of DC charging on a PHEV. It's pretty rare. It is across all the newer VW stuff again with the PHEV setup, but I don't think you'll ever achieve that 50. There's too many variables needed, and the battery was totally empty and it still was doing sort of 27. And with that 27 kilowatt charging, then I got maybe 50% battery in 33 minutes. You'd get way more charge into a BEV. In hybrid mode now, so I've got the 268 brake horsepower under my foot. Again, I set up the drive profile. You have Cupra mode, you've got performance mode, and I just whack it into individual. It gives you a nice fake engine note, but the DCC can be put on its softest setting. So if you don't want to be shaking around, that's kind of a nice compromise. Obviously you can dial that back and stiffen it up if you want. If you're just using battery only, you'll get about 23 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers at the time of filming anyway. It's not that warm, and if you use more of the engine, you'll get about 13 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers out of the battery and about 5 litres per 100 kilometers from the engine. Obviously that can drop down to 0 if you do use it in full battery mode. That's the noise of the added noise. It's a 6-speed 1.5 petrol engine. You might remember ages ago I had this idea in the Audi A3 that was a 1.4, and your range was maybe 60 kilometers back then. And in a few short years, VW Group, or Cupra in this case, have managed to pretty much double the range of their hybrids, but the battery capacity hasn't doubled. So aerodynamics, whatever it is, better battery chemistry, they've managed to extract more range from not a huge jump in battery size. Also, this car weighs about 100 kilos extra because of the battery. So that is a bit of a trade-off, yes, but it's a lot less added weight than you would get in a full-on EV, for example. Pretty good at the transition from hybrid to petrol. It's definitely getting better with time. I find the brakes are a little bit better. The bite point on this car, there's discs all around as well. No drums in the rear like you would get on the Born, for example. I do like that engine note. I know it's fake, but like, you know, who cares? If you like cars, it's an added soundtrack. A huge jump though across the different prices. So like this car starts at 35 grand. And when you think about it, with the extras, this car is essentially double. You're sitting reasonably low down in the car, so as much as it is a crossover SUV thing, it's got a nicer seating position than some of the opposition where you're quite high. That's just a personal thing, I suppose. It's pretty decent in the corners, nice levels of feedback through the steering. The steering is sharp enough in it. One area the car could definitely improve is the front tyres. So the Bridgestone Turanzas on the car, they're not a cheap tyre, but with the 268 brake horsepower to the front wheels, you do get a bit of wheel spin. I didn't notice as much in the Golf GTI at all, so I don't know what that's about, but it's definitely an area where they could do better with it. Good to drive though overall. Looks, well, I think they're great. You let me know what you think in the comments section. And there's just one other thing, just something that I need to talk about in terms of what else you could get from the same VW stable. Century Bronze is this colour. It's a matte finish, so it doesn't actually take too much dirt, unlike the windows and the wheels, which do take a lot of dirt. And there's no doubt this is a striking looking car, more interesting to look at than a lot of other cars in the segment, inside or out. The elephant in the room, however, is for the exact same price as this plug-in hybrid version, you can get a Golf GTI out of the box. And I think all sane petrol heads would choose that car. However, if there was the 2-litre power plant from the Golf in this, then that would be a more difficult conversation to have, because this thing looks deadly. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you on the next one.